This week's Torah portion entails something of a mystery. The name Vayera and God appeared is taken from the opening words of Genesis 18. It goes through chapter 22, including the story, as I said, of the binding of Isaac in Genesis 21, which was called off hours before the child was hurt, thank God. But back in chapters 18, 19, in the story of Sodom and Gomorrah, we are never told precisely what the transgressions of Sodom and Gomorrah were that warranted their total destruction. All Scripture reports, if you really read the Bible, is an incident involving Abraham's nephew Lot, in which Lot was assaulted by the men of Sodom and told to let two male visitors out of the house so they could know them, meaning sexually and forcibly. Lot offers his daughters instead of the men, reflecting a belief that male rape was worse than female rape, even of his own daughters. But that's another sermon. Other than this brief mention, which gave Sodom its infamous reputation for sexual perversion, we are not told what outrageous offenses these cities of Sodom and Gomorrah committed that invoked the uncompromising wrath of God and the utter destruction of these cities. Gofrit va'esh, that's where brimstone and fire come from. Those are the words about the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. You may recall that it even cost Lot's wife her life, because upon leaving the destroyed cities of Sodom and Gomorrah, she looked back compassionately, reluctant to ignore what happened to those she left behind. And this concern cost her life as she was turned into a pillar of salt. In later centuries, our rabbis found a clue to the mystery of the sins of Sodom and Gomorrah in the ethical teachings of Pirkei Avot, taught by our own Dr. Joe Levy. There they taught that there are four general defining characteristics among people. The first kind of person is ha'omer sheli shalach v'shalcha sheli, which means what is mine is yours, and what is yours is mine. That kind of person is called a fool, according to the rabbis. Zo am haaretz. A second kind of person is the one who says, shali shalcha v'shalcha shalach. What is mine is yours, and what is yours is yours. This is the individual of rare, unusual selflessness and piety. You don't meet many people like that. Then the third type of person is shalach shali v'shali shali. What is yours is mine, and what is mine is mine. This, we are told, is the most wicked of all, for that person is convinced he deserves everything for himself, including what he can profit from you. The whole world is his potential profit, whatever he can get from others and keep for himself. The fourth and final type of person, if you're following me, is where this week's Torah portion enters the picture. He's the one or she's the one who says, shali shali v'shalcha shalach. What is mine, and what is yours is yours. This, the rabbis teach, is the quality we call neutrality. And then the ancient commentators go on, v'yesh omrim, there are those who say, zo midat Sodom. This was the problem with the people of Sodom and Gomorrah. Their transgression was living by the slogan, every person for himself, complete neutrality. What happens to anybody else is none of my business. Just look out for yourself. And that, say the rabbis, was the unpardonable sin of Sodom and Gomorrah. And curiously enough, they back it up with the prophet Ezekiel, who reached the same conclusion. If you read Ezekiel, quote, "Behold, this was the iniquity of your sister city of Sodom. She did not strengthen the plight of the poor and the needy." So the Torah and commentators say over and over again that whatever we possess is not entirely our own, and unless we acknowledge our responsibilities to each other as a society, not because we feel like it, but because it is a requirement to acknowledge our responsibilities to each other. Unless we do that, we will all perish like Sodom and Gomorrah in the same disaster. Those are not just pretty words. They're timeless truths for our time and place. What destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, say the rabbis, was the utter failure of people to care about anyone but themselves and their families. The Talmud and Midrashim refer to the sin of Sodom as arrogance. Only one mention of homosexuality, by the way, comes in the form of a statement having to do with the awful rape and robbery of strangers. And this is all mentioned in the context of rape, robbery, and inhospitality, sins which are not foreign to heterosexuality, where most rape, unfortunately, happens. So for those who wish to brand same-gender couples sinful, invoking Sodom, heterosexuality would have to be declared immediately a sin, along with homosexuality, since heterosexuals have raped people as well. I was part of a group of very close friends last night, one a former student of mine at Memphis Theological Seminary, who's a leading female African-American religious leader, and 4 guys. We received this award from Planned Parenthood for speaking out against the awful amendment we defeated in Memphis, but which won statewide, which allows government to interfere in the health care and reproductive decisions of disproportionately poor, defenseless women, not the woman and her doctor or her minister, but the government. The award is named, by the way, for a Republican, a politician, as many of you know or knew, Bob James, who found state interference in a woman's exam room wrong. Less than 1% of the 700 health centers for women run by Planned Parenthood, less than 1% give those women the choice of whether or not to use the fetal tissue for research for disease prevention for future life. And yet, politicians and religious zealots focused on rolling back the most private, personal, and painful women's health care decisions imaginable will do anything to bring down Planned Parenthood and the millions of women of all creeds and colors who have suffered the indignities the extreme right erroneously assigns to this week's Sodom and Gomorrah. That 280,000 Tennesseans were denied free health care this year because 7 far-right politicians hate the current president. It is shameful that these 7 blocked our Republican governor's proposal for 280,000 impoverished Tennesseans because it bears a faint resemblance to looking out for others who are uninsured, like the Affordable Care Act does. I used to think that the greatest danger of our time is extremism. Globally, I still do. We can talk about ISIS. But locally, in Tennessee and across our country, there is something almost as dangerous that comes out of what the rabbis say was the problem in Sodom and Gomorrah. Neutrality, apathy, that the rabbis teach was the real sin of Sodom and Gomorrah. Nobody was looking out for the daughters Lot sent out and got raped instead of the two men. Just as too few of us are looking out for the women in Memphis who are being infected with alarming rates of sexually transmitted illnesses, not by other women, but by heterosexual men. The Torah and our commentators teach over and over again in closing that unless we acknowledge our responsibilities to each other as a society, no matter what your politics, we will all perish in the same disaster. No matter what your faith, may this week's Torah portion rouse us all to awaken from our apathy and neutrality, even and especially if we're lucky not to have to suffer what the people in Sodom suffered and what so many traumatized women in Memphis and throughout the world are going through, not just tonight on this Shabbat, but every day of their lives. And let us say, Amen.